Hello, my name is Daniel Covington, and this is my interview video for PRT 266 with Dr. Lindsay. For my interview, I ended up interviewing a longtime family friend, Danita Johnson. Danita is currently the Senior Vice President for the WNBA franchise, the LA Sparks. I was very nervous before starting my interview with her, as I haven't spoken to her in over 10 years, and also since she holds such a high position in the sports industry. But the more I got to talk to her, the more my nerves kind of calmed me down and the nerves just went away. I ended up speaking to her for probably around like 45 minutes to an hour, and it really helped push me to the point where I really am doing what I want to do. And I just couldn't imagine doing anything else but then pursuing a career in the sports industry. And I ended up asking her around 30 to 40 questions, which is a lot more than the 20 that was required in this assignment. But I just wanted to gain as much knowledge and perspective from her point as I could. So I have a list here with a bunch of the different questions I asked her and a bunch of the answers that she gave me. And I highlighted a bunch of them in red, especially to share with you, because I felt like they were very important in my pursuit of possibly landing a job one day within the sports industry. So here's one of them. What kind of skills would you say are the most useful working in your field? And her answer, of course, communications is a huge, huge, huge skill that you have to have within working in professional sports. But one that kind of surprised me was adaptability, because she said you have to adapt to new environments. It's not going to be the same thing every night, besides like going to the stadium, but there's going to be different people there. You're going to have different kind of environments that you go in, maybe going out on the road with your team or something like that. And she said you're going to work with all sorts of different people on all sorts of different levels of the sports industry. And it's just, you have to adapt. You have to be willing to adapt, and you got to change and just work your way into best suiting yourself for that environment and the people that you work around. And another answer to that question she said was practical business skills, which she worked her way up through the ticket sales part of the sports industry, and then she ended up getting in marketing, and now she's a senior vice president. So she always talks about, one of her big goals, which I'll get into that later, with why her fondest memories of being in the sports industry. One of them was to always reach a revenue goal for her franchise with the LA Sparks, and it just gives her a sense of fulfillment and achievement for herself. But another question for her I asked her was, what kind of networking advice would you give a student, especially those like me who are shy? She said just to always follow up on an interview or on just email or whatever, just to always follow up. Don't be afraid to follow up. And then she also said when you send an email, basically send it as to you're showing yourself in a small period of time, like an elevator pitch, like when you're doing it during an internship or an interview or whatever, your elevator pitch. You don't want to go on and on and on about the same thing, because she doesn't want like an email that's 2 pages long. She just wants a nice overview of yourself, and just don't go overboard with all the information that you give them. Another question I asked her, which this one was huge on my part, that I thought was very important. What are some examples of things you look for in a potential employee or intern? She said the ability to be coached. So like coachability of a person, so you can actually teach them the ins and outs of the business, and they actually understand and want to understand, and they actually see themselves moving higher and higher in the sports industry or whatever industry that they're working in. She says you have to be a go-getter. You gotta, if you want something, you go out there and you take it, and you just do the best of your ability as you can. And then she also said you have to have good people skills, because obviously working in the sports industry, you have a big fan base, you have a big everything, and it's just you're if you're a face of it, you gotta know how to talk to people, you gotta know how to adapt to people, you gotta learn how to deal with certain situations that might turn south on you. But other than that, another one I asked her was what sparked your passion to work in the world of professional sports? And she said she's always been interested in sports, but she was never really good at playing them. But she loved business, and she always took business courses in high school and even in college. As her elective, she took a bunch of business courses at Western Carolina, and she says she's always had a strong interest in business courses and just business in general, because a lot of the sports industry is business, and it's just a big business to work in. I have a few more that I really want to go over. What made you want to work with ticket sales is what I asked her. She said she actually wanted to be in community relations, but was told that the ticket sales was the way to go. And then after she started ticket sales, working with the Fayetteville Patriots in Fayetteville, North Carolina a while back, which was her initial internship and then her first job, she said she just fell in love with ticket sales and just wanted to stay in that field and work her way up from the bottom up. What was one surprising thing you discovered about the sports industry after you left college? And she came up with a straight up answer. She said it's really just a business. It's actually a business. It's not really all about sports or whatever. It's just like running a regular business, but in a sports sense, in a leisure-based sense, in a recreational-based sense. It's just a whole new concept of business, but it's still basic business. What's your fondest memory? This is going back to what I said earlier. What's your fondest memories of working within the sports industry? And she gave me 3 of them. Number 1 for her was definitely winning championships, because that is just what everybody within the sports industry is really working towards. It's just that sense of achievement of finally winning a championship. And she's been very fortunate and has actually won 3 championships with, I believe, 3 different franchises. So she's very successful in that, right? Number 2 is exposing friends and family to the game and to the business. She said she would never have thought of giving like courtside seats to her brother or cousin or whatever, flying them out to LA from North Carolina, and just letting them experience firsthand what sports and what it's like behind the scenes and what she does on the day-to-day basis, and just to expose them to her style of life out in LA compared to back home here in North Carolina, and just to give them, the chance to see what it's like through her eyes, basically. So, also, the last one I'm going to say is, how did you handle adversity throughout college in the beginning of your career? She basically said, if you work hard, people will eventually see it. And if they don't see it, you make them see it. So you just always have to stick out, just like what I said earlier. She wants you to be a go-getter. That go-getter mentality is, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take it, and nobody else can stop me. You just gotta put yourself out there, have faith in yourself, and just push forward. And really, this whole conversation with her was just an eye-opener for me, because transferring from my community college, I had that go-getter mentality, and I still have that go-getter mentality now, but it just lit a candle or lit a flame underneath me, and just has really opened my eyes to what I really want to do. And this career field and this major and this business is something that I really, really, really want to be a part of. And just to talk to a professional in the field and get insight from her point was really eye-opening for me. And I mean, honestly, it's a nice feeling to know that somebody's out there watching over you, and just to make sure, because she offered so much information and so much knowledge and so much backstory to her career and how she's moved up in the business. And she gave me helpful hints on what I should do coming out of college as an aspiring student trying to land a job within the sports industry, especially since the sports industry is so, so competitive. And it's just, you got to be better than the people around you, and you got to show them that you're willing to do whatever it takes to land a certain job, to just do whatever, It's just, it's really hard to explain, but it's just like, it really shows the passion that you have to have behind it. Not only do you have to have the passion, you have to have the drive, the motivation, the go-getter mentality, the business skills, everything. You got to be able to talk to people. And really, this whole experience has just been really eye-opening for me, and I'm very happy that I did this assignment. And I know I've rambled on a lot about a bunch of things, and just I've repeated myself multiple times. It's just because I'm super excited that I had the chance to interview her. And like I said, I was extremely nervous, but the more I talked to her, the more knowledge and the more that I got to understand her side of it and what she went through. I believe she went through like 5 different franchises before she ended up with LA, and then she worked her way up through the ticket sales parts with the Fayetteville Patriots, NBA, I believe D-League team in Bakersfield, the Tulsa Shock, the Phoenix Suns, the Washington Mystics and Wizards, and then she ended up as the senior vice president for the LA Sparks. And talking to her and getting just her backstory and everything, and it's just priceless knowledge that you can't really obtain anywhere else. And just to have that person in my life that I can look up to and admire and just want to follow in the footsteps of is a blessing in disguise. And it's just, so this has been a great eye-opening experience for me, and I've loved every moment of doing this assignment. And I've learned a lot of knowledge. I've asked 40 questions and got solid answers for all 40 of them. I've learned what I want to do as in completing my major. I have the motivation to do it, and I just want to really just get my foot in the door and finish college and just, take the next step into the professional world. But again, it was very eye-opening, and I'm very, very grateful that I had the chance to speak with her. And I believe that's all I really have to say to this video. Thank you for watching.